a wounded lion, rising once more. Nostradamus wrote of such a return, a moment when a leader once brought low would re-emerge with power and fury. But in his cryptic verses, the return was only the beginning. Nations trembled, alliances fractured, and the very identity of a country began to crack. Many now believe Nostradamus was not speaking in riddles without purpose, but warning of a specific figure, a specific nation, and a specific moment in history. If these interpretations are correct, the name behind the prophecy is none other than Donald Trump, and the year marked in the shadows of the text is 2026, a year unlike any before it. What Nostradamus suggested would happen next is not just political, it is spiritual, global, and deeply personal. And if he was right, the world is not ready. The wealthy and powerful man is returning. For centuries, Nostradamus's prophecies paint a world shaken by betrayal, upheaval, and judgment. And yet, they also ignite a strange curiosity. Despite living nearly 500 years ago, Nostradamus continues to influence scholars, theologians, and political thinkers. Among his cryptic verses lies a reference to a once powerful figure, a leader who falls, only to rise again. Nostradamus describes a nation divided, a world trembling, and a leader returning. When examining the quatrains closely, one passage stands out more than the rest. It speaks of a powerful ruler who loses authority, is humiliated, yet returns during a storm of national conflict and global disorder. Nostradamus mentions a great trumpet. A trumpet represented a commanding voice, a figure who could not be ignored. The verse goes further, describing brothers divided, shadows spreading, and a leader from the West returning to reclaim power with blood and thunder. Many argue this fits America's recent turmoil protests, political clashes, social fragmentation, and an intense struggle over identity and power. One symbol appears repeatedly in interpretations: the wounded lion. A lion, proud and fierce, attacked, mocked, seemingly defeated, yet not destroyed. And when it rises again, it rises furious, ready to reclaim its place. To countless observers, this imagery aligns with Donald Trump's trajectory. After leaving office in 2021, under national controversy, investigations, and widespread criticism, he didn't fade into silence. Instead, he returned louder, more defiant, and with a base more loyal and energized than before. The Bible often uses lions to symbolize authority, divine judgment, and upheaval. And Nostradamus's lion does not return peacefully. His roar stretches across nations. His rise signals a period of shaking, both political and spiritual. 2026 is a point where the storm begins in full force. Scholars and prophecy interpreters note that multiple verses, when studied alongside global trends, point to 2026 as a turning point. A year of rising tension, unrest, and the reshaping of global power. And if Nostradamus is correct, the return of this leader will not merely challenge political systems, it will test the very soul of a nation, and perhaps the world. A divided nation. One quatrain speaks chillingly of a double-headed empire breaking at dawn, and the return of an exile during a burning summer. Interpreters read the double-headed empire as a nation split into opposing centers of power, two rival authorities, two competing narratives, each claiming legitimacy, while the burning summer becomes shorthand for a season of mass protest, civil unrest, or even climate-driven disaster that inflames existing divisions. Seen together, these images suggest not just temporary disorder, but structural fracture, a polity that no longer functions as a single, coherent whole. Nostradamus's scattered verses also contain images that many link to the modern-day United States. A land across the Great Sea, a new world bathed in iron and fire, and a golden tower trembling beneath an eagle's shadow. These are poetic lines, but prophecy watchers treat symbols as signposts. The man of gold emerges repeatedly as a central figure, a leader enveloped in wealth, spectacle, and influence. a fast-rising celebrity politician who polarizes the public and accelerates division. In the contemporary frame, that description resonates strongly with a public figure associated with literal golden towers, vast personal fortune, and a media presence that mobilizes millions. The symbolism of the eagle often used for America. That image captures a nation that is outwardly powerful, yet inwardly disoriented. When an eagle falters, the ripple effects go beyond borders. A shaken U.S. projects instability globally, magnifying conflicts, unsettling alliances, and giving rise to opportunistic actors on the world stage. Thus, a domestic fracture becomes an international problem rather than a local crisis. The man of gold and the wounded eagle are not only political metaphors, they speak to identity and moral condition. When a nation's symbol is wounded, questions arise about collective purpose and conscience. When a leader becomes the focal point of both worship and revulsion, societal soul-searching begins. Ultimately, the divided nation portrait is both a warning and a call. It warns that a polarized polity combined with dramatic leadership resurgence can ignite broader instability, potentially reshaping not just domestic life, but the global order. Revelation of ancient secrets. Nostradamus predicted that the year 2025 could witness the revelation of ancient secrets that have remained hidden for centuries. According to his quatrains, these secrets will change our understanding of history and human knowledge, challenging the beliefs and theories we have taken for granted. The mention of buried truths has led many to speculate about the possibility of discovering documents, artifacts, or knowledge that could rewrite history as we know it. A common interpretation of this prophecy is that Nostradamus was anticipating the discovery of ancient texts that have been lost or suppressed over time. These texts could contain advanced knowledge about science, philosophy, or spirituality that has been deliberately hidden for political or religious reasons. With advances in exploration and preservation technology, the possibility of discovering ancient manuscripts in libraries, temples, or tombs is more real than ever. These discoveries could shed new light on past civilizations and change our understanding of history. Another possible interpretation is that Nostradamus was predicting the discovery of ancient artifacts that will challenge our understanding of the past. The mention of objects of power has been seen as a reference to artifacts that could possess unknown properties or advanced technologies that defy our current understanding. Nostradamus's prophecy reminds us that the future is uncertain and that we must be prepared to face any challenge that may arise. Doomsday is here now. We're living in an age where we will see the fulfillment of the remaining 1/3 of his prophecies. Nostradamus saw all of these things happening, and this is what he wanted to warn us, that we were heading down into a terrible time that could destroy the world. Before doomsday arrives, it always brings us many signs. One of the clearest signs is the devastating destruction that impacts humanity. Nostradamus once warned us all about the eruption of a great fire. One quatrain describes fire in the new world and waves that drown, which has been interpreted as warnings of devastating wildfires and tsunamis. And when we looked back, the reality. You see, the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles, it's hard not to believe that the prophecy seems to have come true. The disaster has claimed at least 11 lives and destroyed tens of thousands of structures, including multi-million-dollar mansions, and the damages continue to escalate. In addition to the loss of lives and property, this catastrophic wildfire has exacerbated the housing insurance crisis for affected residents. This is the nightmare the United States has been confronting in recent times. As we face these predictions, it is essential to approach them with a balance of curiosity and caution, acknowledging both their historical context and their potential relevance to today's global challenges. It is also said that Nostradamus mentions lands turning into deserts and submerged cities, which many associate with the effects of climate change in regions like Brazil, where severe droughts could occur and coastal areas in Asia and southern Europe, which could be at risk of flooding. These interpretations reflect current concerns about global warming and how it might reshape the world in the coming decades. To describe this verse, it can be understood that the already harsh climate situation will get worse. The French prophet predicts that extreme weather phenomena such as record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms will increasingly occur with greater frequency and intensity. Global warming is a huge phenomenon going on in the modern day. The Bible does not specifically talk about climate change or global warming. However, the Bible does tell us the world will eventually be burned in fire, which could be another way to understand how alarming the Earth's condition will gradually become. Nostradamus describes earthquakes, floods, and storms that will surpass anything humanity has ever experienced before, suggesting that the world is on the brink of an unprecedented environmental crisis. Scholars of Nostradamus have pointed out that his predictions of natural disasters often align with current weather patterns, making this prophecy even more unsettling in a world where climate change is already wreaking havoc. The idea that even more severe natural disasters are looming no longer seems far-fetched. Scientists have repeatedly warned that events like global warming, deforestation, and pollution are exacerbating the frequency and intensity of natural disasters, and Nostradamus's prophecy seems to reflect these contemporary concerns. One of the most common interpretations of this prophecy is that Nostradamus was warning about the cumulative effects of climate change. References to fire in the sky and overflowing rivers could be interpreted as allusions to wildfires and extreme storms, both phenomena that are already occurring more frequently due to climate change. Additionally, the mention of the earth shaking may refer to an increase in seismic activity, something that some experts believe could be related to the extraction of natural resources and other human activities that affect soil stability. It is important to note that while Nostradamus's prophecies are often interpreted symbolically, the connection between his visions and current natural disasters has led to renewed interest in his writings. Some believe that the natural disasters predicted for 2025 will serve as a wake-up call for humanity, a warning that we must change our behavior before it is too late. On the other hand, skeptics argue that Nostradamus's predictions are too vague and can be interpreted in many different ways. 2 Peter 3:10 informs us, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." God will one day erase this current universe and replace it with the new heavens and new earth. How much effort should be made saving a planet that God is eventually going to obliterate and replace with a planet so amazing and wonderful that the current earth pales in comparison? In a world gripped by uncertainty and unrest, the prophecies of Nostradamus have captivated believers and skeptics alike for centuries. The occurrence of the third and fourth earthquake and hailstorm. The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever. Within the hour, the two witnesses are raptured. A third great earthquake destroys a tenth of Jerusalem. 7,000 people are killed, and those left alive are terrified and give glory to the God of heaven. Could these glorifiers of God be the Jews Jesus warns to flee when they see the abomination of desolation in the temple? Revelation 11:15-19 immediately takes us back to heaven, where we see Jesus beginning to reign on earth. 24 elders surround the throne, saying, "Jesus reigns, and it's time to reward his bondservants and those who fear his name, and to destroy those who destroy the earth." The temple of God in heaven is opened, and the Ark of the Covenant appears in his temple. And there is a fourth earthquake and a great hailstorm. At that moment, the day has come. The balance of global power and the devastating conflicts. On the other hand, the Frenchmen predicted the beginning of a new world war, 79 years after the end of the second one. Some interpreters point to every earthquake, every political upheaval, and every attack on Israel as a sure sign that the end times are rapidly approaching. While the events may signal the approach of the last days, they are not necessarily indicators that the end times have arrived. The Apostle Paul warned that the last days would bring a marked increase in false teaching. The Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. The last days are described as perilous times because of the increasingly evil character of man and people who actively oppose the truth. Throughout Christian history, believers have speculated that the prophesied end times were just about to start. Some audacious ones have even set specific dates. People predicting end times dates usually focus on things like wars, increasing wickedness, and natural disasters. They talk about bad things like the increased fierceness of storms, the surge of killer viruses, severe famines and droughts, and escalating tensions between nations. There is no doubt that world war will be a part of the future. Christ plainly taught that there would be war prior to his return. Jesus foretold, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." Similarly, Revelation 6:4 foretold a symbolic horseman representing warfare that would take peace away from the earth. To be more specific, the future does hold at least one more world war. There is nothing in Scripture that says there will be only a certain number of world wars. World Wars I and II are not explicitly mentioned in Scripture, nor is a possible third world war. It is only the last war that is mentioned in detail, which allows the interpretation that there may be others before the final conflict. So, although there will be at least one more world war, there is no doubt of the outcome. Righteousness will prevail as Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, defeats all who oppose him. It is also worth mentioning at this time that following the 1,000-year reign of Christ, there will be another uprising which could possibly have the scope of a world war. Satan will be bound for 1,000 years, and then released. Upon his release, he leads a rebellion among the peoples of the earth. Christ quickly puts down this rebellion and permanently judges Satan, casting him into the lake of fire as he did with the beast, Antichrist, and the false prophet. In Les Prophecies, published in 1555, Nostradamus mentioned 2025 there will be a number of troubles happening globally, including increased conflicts, geopolitical problems, wars at sea, problems with the royal family, and a major humanitarian disaster. But the biggest worry that humanity faces in 2025 is likely to be nature, when a series of climate disasters are predicted to occur and threaten human life. The dry earth will become drier, and suddenly a great flood will come. This is a verse taken from the work Les Prophéties, showing what Nostradamus predicted in 2025. To describe this verse, it can be understood that the already harsh climate situation will get worse. The French prophet predicts that extreme weather phenomena such as record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms will increasingly occur with greater frequency and intensity. Global warming is a huge phenomenon going on in the modern day. The Bible does not specifically talk about climate change or global warming. However, the Bible does tell us the world will eventually be burned in fire, which could be another way to understand how alarming the Earth's condition will gradually become. 2 Peter 3:10 informs us, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." God will one day erase this current universe and replace it with the new heavens and new earth. How much effort should be made saving a planet that God is eventually going to obliterate and replace with a planet so amazing and wonderful that the current Earth pales in comparison? In a world gripped by uncertainty and unrest, the prophecies of Nostradamus have captivated believers and skeptics alike for centuries. Among his many predictions, none are as chilling as those foretelling the end times and the rise of a Middle Eastern Antichrist. With a reputation for accuracy, Nostradamus has unnerved generations with his eerily precise visions of future events. Now, in this article, we delve into the mysterious verses penned by the renowned seer and explore his warnings of cataclysmic events that could reshape our world forever. As we explore the prophecies of Nostradamus, we are confronted with chilling anticipation. How accurate were his visions? How do his predictions align with the current geopolitical landscape? And what do they mean for the future of humanity? From wars and natural disasters to the rise of a leader shrouded in darkness, our journey into the world of Nostradamus promises to be a thought-provoking and unsettling one. Join us as we unravel the cryptic verses and attempt to interpret the fate of our world as predicted by Nostradamus. First, let's understand Nostradamus' predictions about the end times. Nostradamus' predictions about the end times have fascinated scholars and enthusiasts for centuries. He wrote extensively about the events that would lead to the end of the world, using a combination of cryptic language and symbolic imagery. One of his most famous prophecies, known as Century X, Quatrain 72, speaks of a great conflagration that will engulf the world, bringing about the end of civilization as we know it. This verse, along with many others, has sparked intense debate and interpretation among those who study Nostradamus' works. The key to understanding Nostradamus' predictions lies in deciphering his symbolic language. His verses often contain metaphors and allegories that require careful analysis. For example, he frequently refers to the Great King of Terror and the Third Antichrist, which many believe to be references to major world events and influential figures. By studying the historical context and looking for parallels between Nostradamus' words and actual events, researchers have attempted to uncover the true meaning behind his prophetic verses. How about the concept of the Middle Eastern Antichrist in Nostradamus' prophecies? One of the most intriguing aspects of Nostradamus' prophecies is the concept of the Middle Eastern Antichrist. According to his writings, the Antichrist will rise to power in the Middle East, wielding immense influence and causing widespread chaos and destruction. The Antichrist is described as a figure of darkness who will bring about immense suffering and turmoil before ultimately meeting his demise. The idea of a Middle Eastern Antichrist has sparked intense speculation and debate. Some believe that Nostradamus' predictions align with the rise of certain political leaders in the region, while others argue that the concept should be interpreted metaphorically rather than literally. Regardless of the interpretation, the notion of a powerful and malevolent figure emerging from the Middle East continues to capture the imagination of those fascinated by Nostradamus' prophecies. Let's analyzing specific verses and passages related to the end times and the Middle Eastern Antichrist to gain a deeper understanding of Nostradamus' predictions about the end times and the Middle Eastern Antichrist. It is essential to analyze specific verses and passages in his writings. One such verse, Century 4, Quatrain 50, speaks of a great earthquake in the month of May. Some researchers believe that this verse may be a reference to a future earthquake that will strike the Middle East, triggering a chain of events that will lead to the rise of the Antichrist. An environmental crisis. Prolonged rains along the Arctic Pole, it might suggest that the floods will be accompanied by prolonged rains that will last months or even years. The extent of the Arctic Pole could mean that the rains will cover a large area from the North Pole to the South Pole, or that they will particularly affect the Arctic region. Prolonged rains will cause more floods, erosion, and landslides. These scenarios have been supported by some studies and scientific reports, such as the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which warned that the world faces a code red for humanity if urgent measures are not taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. According to the report, the global average temperature has already increased by 1.1 degrees since the pre-industrial era, and is likely to reach 1.5 degrees by 2030. This will have devastating consequences for the environment, biodiversity, food security, health, and human rights. Nostradamus also predicted that the year 2025 could witness extreme climate changes that will alter the natural balance of the planet. In his quatrains, he refers to furious winds and raging seas, which many have interpreted as a warning about storms, hurricanes, and other extreme weather events that could become more frequent and destructive in the coming years. Extreme climate changes are not a new idea, but the frequency and intensity of these events have increased in recent decades. Heat waves, intense storms, and floods are affecting regions worldwide, and scientists warn that climate change is exacerbating these phenomena. Nostradamus' prophecy seems to align with these concerns, suggesting that 2025 could be a turning point where the effects of climate change become even more pronounced. A common interpretation of this prophecy is that Nostradamus was anticipating an increase in the frequency of natural disasters caused by climate change. References to furious winds and raging seas could be interpreted as hurricanes and typhoons devastating coastal regions, while the mention of fire in the sky could refer to wildfires that destroy large areas of forest. These phenomena are already occurring more frequently, and the possibility that they will intensify in the coming years is a real concern. Another possible interpretation is that Nostradamus was predicting broader climate change that will affect the entire planet. The mention of darkened skies has been seen as a reference to pollution and global dimming, a phenomenon that could result from the accumulation of particles in the atmosphere due to the burning of fossil fuels and other pollutants. If this prediction is true, we are in for a difficult journey in 2025. The world will face a great environmental crisis that will threaten the survival of humanity and the planet. But let us remember that this is not an absolute truth. There is still hope. Perhaps Nostradamus was wrong, or perhaps we can still prevent or mitigate the effects of this disaster. After all, Nostradamus also predicted that a great king would arise from the flood and restore peace and order. Technological progress. Some interpretations of Nostradamus' work point to technological progress in 2025 with advances that could improve life for many people. These breakthroughs might come in the fields of medicine, transportation, or communication, offering hope for a brighter future. It may also pertain to the significant growth of artificial intelligence, AI, which is already dominating various aspects of life. In one of his quatrains, he wrote, "Combats, naval battles, bombings, and a global uprising of superior intelligence created by man." Although it is unclear exactly which year Nostradamus referred to, he suggests that the rapid advancement of AI technology could lead to a scenario where machines, robots, and algorithms develop self-awareness and decide to rebel against their human masters. The consequences of such an event could be catastrophic, disrupting industries, economies, governments, and everyday life globally. Some analysts believe the combat and naval battles mentioned in the prophecy could refer to growing tensions and conflicts between major world powers like the United States, China, Russia, and India as they compete for control and influence over global resources, markets, and technologies, especially AI technology. As you know, throughout his re-election campaign, Trump received substantial support from Musk. Trump even publicly thanked and praised Musk in his victory speech. This is widely understood to mean that Musk's projects, especially those related to AI and technology, will likely receive significant support under Donald Trump's administration. Revelation of ancient secrets. Nostradamus predicted that the year 2025 could witness the revelation of ancient secrets that have remained hidden for centuries. According to his quatrains, these secrets will change our understanding of history and human knowledge, challenging the beliefs and theories we have taken for granted. The mention of buried truths has led many to speculate about the possibility of discovering documents, artifacts, or knowledge that could rewrite history as we know it. A common interpretation of this prophecy is that Nostradamus anticipated the discovery of ancient texts that had been lost or suppressed over time. These texts could contain advanced knowledge about science, philosophy, or spirituality that has been deliberately hidden for political or religious reasons. With advances in exploration and preservation technology, the possibility of discovering ancient manuscripts in libraries, temples, or tombs is more real than ever. These discoveries could shed new light on past civilizations and change our understanding of history. Another possible interpretation is that Nostradamus was predicting the discovery of ancient artifacts that will challenge our understanding of the past. The mention of objects of power has been seen as a reference to artifacts that could possess unknown properties or advanced technologies that defy our current understanding. Nostradamus' prophecy reminds us that the future is uncertain and that we must be prepared to face any challenge that may arise.